Okay, we're gonna start now. So what is Tweet Jukebox again?
Yeah. Tweet Jukebox I use to kind of set it and forget it, in the sense that I can have my posts, my evergreen posts, kind of on loop. And so just like a jukebox, you put your song in this case, the song is a tweet, and you might have a picture with it, and all your hashtags and everything else, maybe do a bit.ly or something like that. And then you set it to, like for me, I only tweet in the morning and at night automatically. All the rest is like my organic, whenever I'm feeling it kind of tweet. But I know that with those, I always have content pushing out. And if a tweet goes out via Tweet Jukebox, I tell it not to go out again until 21 days have passed. And so you can imagine with like 200 different, tweets in there or something like that, they're on a pretty good rotation.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Is it? So I'm seeing it's just a Google Chrome extension.
No, it's you can sign into Tweet Jukebox just with your Twitter account. I don't know, tweetjukebox.com or something like that. But there might be an extension. I don't know about that though.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, how do you feel about people that like tweet nonstop? That everything is like even on the overnights that people are like their tweets are scheduled like 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning when that person is sleeping.
Yeah.
But they're. What are your thoughts on that?
I think everybody needs to have their own social media policy. I mean, if you have a problem with getting to, like for me, it's Facebook private messages. Like sometimes I get added to groups if I'm on a blogger campaign, and I'll get 40, 50, 60 private messages throughout the day, but it's on me. I need to mute the conversation. So I mute the conversation, or I turn my phone off and control it that way.
What about Facebook? How do you interact with your fans through Facebook?
Facebook is my main thing, man. Facebook is so smart, so brilliant that I use it all the time. But I mean, you got to know where your audience is, right? I have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, and a YouTube channel. I have not done Snapchat yet, but I'm intrigued. I actually wrote it down here because I need to get on that. But yeah, Facebook is the biggest draw for me. And, each one is different. Pinterest has got my mom bloggers and moms on there, and Instagram's got skews a little bit younger, stuff like that. Right. So it's all targeted. What's up, Bob?
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Hi, Ann. Say hello.
You're connected.
Say hello.
Hi.
There you go. So, how you guys doing?
Good.
Yeah, I can't remember if it was on this one of our open mic nights a couple weeks ago, or if it was a different chat. But a guy named Clay Shirky, in his book Here Comes Everybody, says there's a lot of, especially now that book was like 2008, 2009. But one of the big complaints is, well, I don't like Twitter because people are talking about what they ate for lunch and all that. Well, when you walk through a big room that's full of a whole bunch of people and they're having different conversations, just because some people are talking about what you're not interested in doesn't mean you leave and don't look for opportunities of people that are interested in what you are talking about. You were talking about tools. I use TweetDeck. Once you get past a few thousand people that you're following, the real-time stream is meaningless. I mean, it's just a snapshot. It's miraculous. It's probably higher odds than winning Powerball if you see something in the real-time stream that means something to you. So it's kind of analogy I used with someone in Slack yesterday is don't even bother to try to humanly search. Unless you're being kind, I can do that, but don't bother to try to humanly search the Slack stream. Just use the inbuilt-in search to find what interests you. So
you know what I need to do, guys? Check this out. I need to do this. Hold on one second.
This is fun.
Got to bring your brand in, right?
That's what he needs to do.
Oh, I thought he was gonna. I thought it was like his brand or something, like Craig's sign. I like to sign the first week we did this, and I thought you were gonna. But see, for the future, Corey, get your. Tell me again your name of your brand, your new one. Lean Green Dad.
Lean Green Dad, yeah.
So what you do is you get your logo. Do you already have your new logo?
I do, yeah.
Okay, so this is how you do social, right? Let's bring it back to the topic. Here's how you do social. You get your Lean Green Dad. You get the logo. You get your whatever your primary mission is that you want people to know that, and you put it right there. I can't point to it, but you put it right there behind you on the wall for the Blab sessions.
Very smart. Very smart. That's what I need to do. I've got it. You know, it's funny with my old brand. I've got a car graphic. I've got a car graphic. This is, you know, Iron Dad all over it or whatever. And then I've got a license plate that says this. So whatever. I'm telling you, man, not gonna let it get me down. I'm just gonna move forward. Oh my God, Bob, I don't think you're ready for this, man. Okay, can you see this?
Oh, that's your daughter's notebook.
This is the story that she wrote. The story of my dad's blog, right?
Leave it there for a second. Leave it there for a second.
All right, hold on.
Because everybody that's watching, go over and click on tweet in the upper left-hand corner. And what it's going to do is it's recording a GIF right now. It's going to record a GIF with her, or is it GIF or GIF? I don't know. Anyway, GIF is peanut butter, I believe. So it's recording a GIF, and then his daughter's picture will be in there. And then later on, we'll be able to tag this appropriately.
Yeah, so that's going live tomorrow. It's like 5-6 pages. The story of my dad, Lean Green Dad, and it says true story, you know, in parentheses. This is internet gold. Like I can't believe she did this. I was so proud of her. She just did it in the backseat of our minivan on the way to dance.
That's, you know what? She's your inspiration.
Oh yeah, both of them are. You know, my son. Oh, here's a good social thing. My son is like social media gold. You know, he loves these Vega bars, right? And they're these chocolate plant-based bars, VEGA. It's all over my Facebook. I love them. And Vega is a brand that does all these plant-based bars. Well, they've engineered one that tastes like a Reese's peanut butter cup. I kid you not. It's all plant-based. It's Sava seed. It's incredible. It's like 15 grams of protein in it. And he loves them. He's obsessed with them. So I videoed him today. He was eating his bar. He's like, so good. I'm like, buddy, how you feeling about that Vega bar? And he's like, oh, it's great, Daddy. And I said, well, how good is it? And he's like, oh, it's Vega good. Vega good, Daddy. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I tagged Vega in it, and of course they sent it out and everything. And you know, one more small quick thing. The dude, my son, he's 5 years old, didn't want a piece of cake for his birthday. He wanted a Vega bar with a candle in it. So I stuck a candle in a Vega bar, again, sent it to them, and they sent me like 4 boxes of bars. It was crazy. It was crazy. Yeah, my kids fuel the blog. They're nuts.
That's awesome.
How do you guys feel about kids on social? Like kids in general, like putting your kids on social media and stuff.
Before you go to the kids on social, I just want to tie back to the topic. Corey just told us how he did social. Kids, story of the Vega bars, reached out to the company, right? You know, I mean, you were telling an anecdote, but that's how you do it. So,
I'll take a picture. I'll be making my kid's lunchbox, and I'll take a picture of the lunchbox, and I'll tag every single brand that's in it, and say, "This is a good lunchbox," you know, hashtag Lean Green Dad or something like that. And then the brands actually, you know, end up liking it or possibly sharing it. You never know.
You never know. And it's, you know, it's publicity, it's free publicity for them. And what does costing them sending you a couple boxes cost them? Nothing, you know, the free publicity. But with the rebranding that you had to do in less than 2 weeks, you had to rebrand.
1 week.
I mean,
1 weweek.
1 week. And you didn't even fight for more time. You said, I need like 2 weeks. You just said 1 week.
I still have time to respond. I haven't even responded back yet.
You don't even want, you might even want to like, but you have time, right? But you flipped over that site within days, if not minutes. And props to you, because like, you know, yeah, we were chatting back and forth, and you know, the Facebook issue, it might take a couple of days to fix, but new site and everything, and you know, you just have to completely rebrand yourself. And I would start using hashtags. You know, did you ever use like Iron Dad as a hashtag?
Yeah. That was my hashtag. Yeah, all the time.
Iron Dad is now real. Iron Dad is now Lean Mean Green. You know. Well,
yeah, Lean Green Dad. Yeah.
Lean Green Dad, but
it was going to be Lean Green Dad Machine. That was what they wanted me to be. A couple of my friends and stuff, but I said it's too long. It's too long. Twitter won't even accept that handle. It's so long, and then all my hashtags would be ridiculous. So no.
Yeah, that. And now, how do you with Pinterest? What do you use? Mostly for recipes and stuff.
I'll be quite honest with you. I have someone manage my Pinterest for me, and that someone is my mother. Yeah, man. I trained my mom how to run my Pinterest. Why? Because she's a lady, and she's also the one that is the demographic that's looking at that. And I'm not saying it's like totally ladies, but I mean, it's like 85% females on Pinterest. So my mom does the fun pins. She searches around. She does at least 3 pins a day for me. And then I post my content. So I do direct links to my content, and I do everything. Everything that I do is up there. Everything has a different channel, stuff like that.
That's cool. That's really cool. Snapchat, we were talking about Snapchat before.
Yeah.
I have it. I just can't get into it. Everyone's saying content. I don't see the point of it.
What's it about? It's like a 4-second video, 7-second?
Well, you could do, I think it's up to 10, but you could just take a picture and send it to a bunch of people, or you could add it to your, what they're calling is my story. So you could just take a picture and add it to your story for the day. Kind of like how Facebook, some people do those like pictures of the day kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the same thing. You could take a picture, add it to your story, and then it'll be there for like 10 seconds or the next day, and then it disappears. But like what's cool is the filters are cool. So like if you're running, if you want to take a picture while you're running, it'll actually show you like the miles per hour you're running, and it'll actually tell you like the temperature. So if it's like -2 degrees out, you know, you could take a picture saying I'm running in -2 degree weather and then put it on Snapchat. But like I've seen a lot of brands are using it, like New York Times they'll put out a snap like 30 seconds and it's just really of the presidential debate. Who won? That's it. And like a couple of words and a sentence and it's done. Or they'll do videos of the presidential debate. I just don't get what brands are building on it. So I'm like, is it the next hot thing that you should be on?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I don't know. I think Peter might join. Actually, we were talking. He might join tonight to get his real scope on Snapchat. Bob, what do you think on Snapchat?
I'm not using it myself yet. Oh, just a second. I started tweeting. 1 minute.
You hear that weird sound, Craig? Are you getting that?
Yeah, I hear a weird sound.
Sorry, guys. So one of the bad things about if you go to tweet out something is because it's recording that GIF. If you start doing that at the same time you start to talk or somebody asks you a question, it completely consumes the process. So that's what's going on. I've not used Snapchat yet. I did summarize a post. It was a couple of years ago. Gary Vee did a presentation at a conference in New York City, and he talked about why you should use Snapchat. And I took his 20-minute he also talked about using the right media in the right channel, like pictures on Pinterest and all that. And so I took what he said to heart. And while watching his video, I went back and figured out what the main points were. And I did 6 screenshots, and then I added a little cloud text to it. And I wrote a blog post where I summarized his 20-minute video with 6 pictures. So a little bit of meta stuff there. But one of the things he said was, for those of you that think Snapchat is just a bunch of teenagers swapping, indecent pictures, you're missing the boat. So, and somebody locally just this week said they're getting a lot of traction off Snapchat with millennials. So,
wow,
Kansas City area.
I still don't get it. I mean, there were so many other apps that just died like this week that were just full of millennials, and they just Stolen being one of them. It was like steal people's Twitter cards, and then someone just got shut them down. So,
well, here's a question, and I know we've got people watching. How many of you remember? And I might be dating myself with this because I think I'm a few deviations to the right of the mean age in the group. How many of you recall Kmart blue light specials? Put a yes in the chat if you remember Kmart blue light specials, right? That was being in the right place at the right time, right? You're there, and all of a sudden that cart goes around, and the little blue light's going, and there's this really good deal. Well, that's what Gary talks about. Is if someone could say, 5%, 10% discounts, not that big of a deal, right? But what if you're walking along, you're going down Main Street in New York City or Leavenworth in your hometown, whatever, and because of it's not geo-positioning, but the geolocation where they can actually push stuff to you. All of a sudden, you get something on Snapchat that says 50% off your next beer at our happy hour or the sandwich if you're here within 3 minutes. And it turns out it's just three stores down from where you are, right? It's there and it's gone. It's not something you can save. You can't print it out and use it later type thing. That's what he's talking about, is those spur of the moment type things.
I think it's kind of like how Foursquare was supposed to be. Foursquare was supposed to be. I'm going to put a Corey back in. Foursquare originally was supposed to be check-in, and if you owned a venue, you were able to push notifications to people around you that were checked into Foursquare. That kind of fell short on Foursquare's end of pushing, I would say, interactive deals. Like, when was the last time you actually checked in somewhere with Foursquare for a deal? That died very quickly, probably within 2 years. Yelp is trying to do it, but I'm like, Yelp is, on its way out also.
Well, and I don't know if there's any correlation to the fact that Facebook now has check-ins, right? There's a, I'm going to butcher his name, but it's like Seth Probish or something like that, has a video on TED called The Game Layer on Top of the World. It's 3-4 years old, maybe even older. But in there, he talks about if you're going to build an application like that's going to be a social game or something like that, he says there is no decision anymore about what platform you use.
Correct.
It's Facebook. It's the open graph. They have it. They own it. If you're like, well, I don't want to use Facebook, and he's like, that's fine. Just choose to fail. So,
yeah. Facebook has the open graph.
Yeah.
What does Twitter have? Twitter is just a news stream, social news stream, if you want to call it that. What I kind of did with Bob, what you were saying before, is I really just follow the people that I interacted with a lot on Twitter.
Right.
Or the companies that I follow or use, like, I follow the company I work for. I follow, if I know Peter, I follow everyone in the ShankMinds group. But for the people that auto DM and then auto spam, I unfollow, block. Same thing with Facebook. I started doing this today on Facebook. I know I might get heat for this, but these it works raps, you've probably seen them. They're body wraps, and people just spam Facebook nonstop with it, and I just unfollow them or unfollow them because you don't want to really unfriend them. But it's like I can't, sign up, become a diamond member and get $1,000. I don't want to see that in my Facebook stream.
So I had posted in one of the channels a picture that, like, out of the most recent 8 DMs I got in Twitter, 6 of them were auto DMs. Now, unlike you, I don't block the people for auto DMs because I followed them for a reason. And, if they do it over and over, I may block them. People that I auto block, when I notice, I go back and look at it. But people that follow me, that all they do is sell, like $5 will get you 1,000 Twitter followers, or $5 will get you likes on Facebook. I block them just out of spite, and because, that doesn't mean anything. Organic audience growth is better, and so I just hate those people. They're like leeches, so I block them. I also block. I usually block foreign language ones. Well, I don't block them. I'm sorry, I don't necessarily follow back. I don't follow back ones that I can't read because I can't read it.
Yeah.
But I do block ones that are just like, it's a woman in a bikini. Now she does is post pictures of other women in bikinis. I don't need to see that. I don't want it in my stream, and I block that.
Yeah. I have the same thing. My problem was early on. A lot of us didn't know how to use Twitter early on. Let's just follow everybody. And what I did was, started my business and even the restaurant that I work with or, do social for, I followed a bunch of restaurants in the area. And I followed all the like news channels, and we were able to get press. But my problem was I followed too many people. So now I don't even watch the stream. I just tweet from it. I completely don't even look at the stream. But for me to go back in to that stream and start cleaning it up, it's too much of a nightmare.
Okay, so some audience interaction here. Since we are talking, how do you do social? Craig, when did you join each of those networks? And for those people that are watching and not in a seat, please put in the chat when you joined Twitter and when you joined Facebook.
I think I joined Facebook, I would have to say, when they opened it up to the public. Since it was 2004 I think like 2005, 2006, I joined Facebook, kind of when they opened up to the public, right after college students, because for me, my college wasn't being accepted at the time, which was DeVry. It wasn't being accepted into Facebook. And then Twitter, I probably joined about 5-6 years ago, and then I joined the Instagram streams, and then on from there.
So I joined Twitter. I've got it right here. I joined Twitter in October 2008. And quite frankly, I joined it then because anyone recall what was happening in October 2008?
No.
There was this really important election going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I joined it initially because that's where people were talking about politics. And it was something I was interested in following. But then I shortly learned it was a lot more than that. Facebook, I think my daughter was a freshman in high school when I joined Facebook in like 2000, not college, high school, 2003 or 2004. I was teaching at the Army Command and General Staff College, and I had an EDU address. So I was able to get in before it was open to the public. So I've been in Facebook for a long time. In fact, I was on Facebook, I think, for 2 or 3 years before I had a Gmail address. So,
wow. I'm actually checking when did I join Facebook.
It's not easy to find.
It's in your timeline. You have to
you have to go back to your timeline.
I'm trying to figure out when.
So, by the way, for those of you new to Blab, what I'm going to do now, Craig had set me as a co-host, so I'm going to go over here. I'm going to X that question out, and then it won't be up there anymore. There we go. Craig, did you see somebody? Oh, there we have somebody else that wants to join in.
Go ahead. You can.
Yep. Yeah, I'll do it. Okay. I am having bandwidth connection issues, so I'm going to pop out for a second.
Okay. I'm here.
What's up?
How are you?
I'm fine. What's up, man?
We're talking about social.
Social media?
Yes.
Yes. It's very good. I like social media.
So we're trying to figure out we're asking people when they joined.
When we joined the social media?
Yes.
Like, I don't know, when I was like 11 or 10, something like this.
Okay.
Are you guys?
Someone else in.
Are you trying to coach here, Mr. Karuo?
No, we're just talking about social.
Okay. Well, I'm on Twitter, Facebook, all this kind of stuff with Blab and Meerkat and Periscope. But Blab, they got to do something with their speed because their speed is very slow.
Right.
And it's a lot of disconnection. But, I wanted to get your opinion on this. There is many people like doing all this kind of social medias, but I observed that there is like coaching coaches.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is that where does the income come from? Because people don't need to go get, for example, any more coaching or consulting if they're getting, coaching coaches to coach.
Are you talking about social?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people have to try and figure it out on their own.
So I mean, what is your profession?
I mean, by day I'm an engineer.
Oh, so you're just doing this for fun or what?
Well, we're part of Peter ShankMinds' Masterminds group.
And what does that do?
It's a mentorship for entrepreneurs who basically want to better themselves.
Okay, but the question of how long we've been on Twitter, how does that help?
Well, we're just trying to find out when people have joined, just to get a range.
Okay. I'm on Twitter too, and it's been a few years.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. We're waiting for Bob to just join us. Yeah. So what I was saying, me and Bob, a few others of all of us are part of Peter ShankMinds group, which is basically a group, if not more than a group of people that want to better themselves with entrepreneurship, get better at things that they do with social. See, Christine just joined us. It's a great group, and all of us have made friends. We're learning from each other as we go.
So the question that we have up here now is how do you social personally or to promote your brand? Christine, welcome. Your first day on Blab. Are you intending calling in and talking to us, or are you just going to sit back and listen at first? You can answer in the chat. So I'll answer. So for the longest time, as many of the people no, Christine, we can't hear you yet. You have to click on take a seat, and then we'll let you in. Hey, Peter, welcome.
Hey, Peter, what's up, bud?
All right. So, Peter, just in time, because we've just pinned up the question, how do you social personally or to promote your brand? And I was about to say that over the last few weeks, you all in this group know that I haven't known what my brand is. I mean, I knew what it was, but no one else did. So, but Peter, you're just in time to answer the question. First of all, welcome to ShankMinds chat. Do you know what the ShankMinds group is all about?
I've heard about ShankMinds. I hear it's kind of okay.
I have a referral link. You want to join?
I am glad to be here. Send me. Yeah, I'm sorry. I just walked in. My mom left. The kids asleep. I wanted to get onto this thing as soon as possible. But yeah, good to be here.
All right. So how do you social, both personally and to promote your brand? And is there a difference?
I don't think there's much of a difference. For me, I'm really about. You know what? Actually, I'm gonna tweet this link so that my world can see it as well. But I don't really have a difference. For me, it's about creating good content, quality content, things that people actually want to see. You know, whether it's my family or whether it's people who follow me, which I'm always flattered about. For me, it's really about knowing that having an audience is a privilege, not a right. I look at anyone who I engage with online as a privilege to connect to them. It's similar to like wearing spandex. It's a privilege, not a right. And so anyone I meet with, anyone I talk to online, I want to make sure stuff that I'm sharing is beneficial, useful to them, stuff they'll actually enjoy, they'll want to see. So that's how I do it. Whether it's and I mean, obviously, if I'm sending a photo of my daughter, pulling up her pants for the first time or something, I send that to my family either by email or whatever, but not, there are a lot of things I don't share for two reasons. Number one, because, people, you got to respect the audience. Who the hell wants to see everything in my life? I don't want to see everything in my life. But then secondly, because, I do have a semblance of privacy. Everyone always, my favorite story is, I think it's like 2009. This is Lilu. Hi, Lilu. Welcome to Lab. In 2009, I was giving a speech. We're in the audience like, we're all not like you. We don't share everything about our lives. We know everything about you because you're. I said, okay, I have a question for you. Am I straight or gay? And they said they couldn't answer. I'm like, you don't know. I'm like, the only thing you know even remotely close to that is that I once went to a George Michael concert, and even that's ambiguous. So you know what I want you to know. And with that, I'm going to answer that. I'm going to tweet this. Join us in answering, how do you social?
One of the earlier questions.
And I'm going to go find out why my daughter is yelling for me. So I'll be right back. Hang on 1 second.
We'll defer that question then. All right.
Right back.
So another way that I use social, and you shouldn't have to this, but Peter's pointed this out before, it really works well. We had, I'm not going to use the name now. We had a home security company. and I had canceled it when we were having some financial issues back a few years ago, and I didn't want to keep up at the maintenance anymore. Not to mention I had paid like, $25 a month for 10 years and gotten not really anything out of it that I knew of. So I canceled it. They called back and said, well, we could do it, give you back for 2 months for free. I was like, okay. And then at the end of the 2 months, it'll come back on. I said, no. I said, 2 months for free is fine, but I do not want it to come back on. Sure enough, they started charging me again. I could not get it turned off. We were on our way to Michigan. Ann was driving. I tweeted out. Their vice president of customer service called me, found out what I needed, and turned it off. Now, you shouldn't have to do that, but it worked. And just now, this is the second time this week I've had to disconnect from my Time Warner cable, which is supposed to be up to 100 megabyte, but they said I might even see up to 300 meg. And I'm tethered on this Wi-Fi phone right now. I'm connecting over my AT&T because my Time Warner cable will not do video streaming. So I tweeted that out, and maybe it'll get some attention. So Peter, the question we were going to ask was earlier before you joined, we'd ask everybody, how long you've been doing. So I know you've been doing it for a while. When did you join Facebook and when did you join Twitter?
Both in 2007. My claim to fame, which if you include 275 will get me on the subway, is that at one point I was the 49th most followed person on Twitter. Woohoo. And then of course it was discovered by like people that actually matter, like celebrities and things like that. But at one point I was the #1 most followed person in New York and the 49th most followed person on Twitter. So I joined super early. I'm usually an early adopter to all this stuff. But the interesting thing for me is I join everything mostly to reserve my name, right? I get Peter Shankman. And back when I first joined, I was at Skydiver. Hey, Corey.
Hey, bud.
Dad. Back when I first joined, I was at Skydiver. And the day after I decided to switch over at Peter Shankman, and I made the switch, like literally less than 24 hours after I made that switch over, Twitter verified my profile, which I thought was really funny because it's like, okay, I guess that, there are a lot of skydivers out there, but I guess there's only one Peter Shankman, I suppose. That's a really good question from Techie Talk, who said, what social network gives you the biggest return when it comes to creating rabid fans? I have to preface that by saying, what works for me may or may not work for you because I don't know your audience. You know your audience. And so only you can determine. It's like saying that I love oranges, so, you should love oranges. I can't tell you what you love or what you don't love. You have to know that yourself. So people always ask me, oh, where should I be on my audience? I don't know. Where's your audience? Follow where they are, and they'll tell you where you should be. So for me, I would say if I had to split it between Facebook and Twitter, it's definitely, it sides more towards Facebook. The quality of engagement I get is much stronger on Facebook. If I do a live video stream on Facebook, like a Facebook live video, I did one this morning just with no announcement or anything like that. I just jumped on. I'm like, hey, I have 20 minutes. Ask me anything. Mm-hmm. Like 888 people watched it live, and I think it's now up to like something like 4,000 views or something like that. Wow. I don't get the same response on Twitter. Twitter for me is great when I'm live blogging things or whatever, but in terms of actual audience engagement, I'd have to go with Facebook.
Yeah, like when you did this morning, like I was on Facebook really early, I got the subscribe notice, like you were live blogging. So I was like, okay, click in. With Twitter, it's hard to get a subscribe notice when someone tweets. So that's why I was doing right away, and it was like we're interacting right away within real time.
I think the noise to signal ratio is better. I think Facebook has figured out a better algorithm for the noise to signal ratio where I get good. Facebook shows people when I'm doing something that's of value to them, it shows them better than Twitter does, which is like, here's everything, enjoy it,
Right. One thing I wish that Facebook did have is if you're a verified user, I think you're verified.
Yeah.
If you can get stats.
That's true. Yeah, it doesn't. I think it would just if it gave everyone stats, I think it would just melt down Facebook. I just don't think they have.
The pages are pretty cool. Like you can get stats on pages. I know, and also Corey was saying before, most of his is split between Facebook and Twitter.
And I'd say that Twitter does a good job of analytics as well. Sub Bob asked Peter Shankman, can we get you on the record? What do you think of the term shank monsters? I hate the term shank monsters. I'm going on record.
Me too. We need to stop the shank monster.
We are ShankMinds. We are not shank monsters. We're not Lady Gaga here. It's ShankMinds. I hate the term shank monsters.
So let's get in. Emma, I know you just joined. How do you use social? Where is your branding?
You know, I think it's a pretty fair mix between Instagram and Facebook right now for me, and also because of where my expertise lies, Delectable. And Delectable is like the app where it digitally reads a wine label, a sake label, a beer label, whatever you're drinking. It reads it, tells you what it is, where you can buy it, and then there's the group of people who are in the wine industry who are verified, and people can follow our recommendations and kind of buy what we're buying, and that helps keep me relevant within my space.
That's the second time tonight I've heard of Delectable. Actually, someone brought it up at a dinner I was at. But it's interesting because using apps that are specific to your industry is a smart move. I'm a huge person I'm a huge user of something called Dropzone, dropzone.com, which is a skydiving website for skydivers. And isn't for someone who wants to do a tandem, but is for like people who want to talk about, okay, that guy who went in last month, what did he do wrong that we can learn from to not do that, And so I think there's a niche factor. If you use social for your profession, you have that ability to create a niche factor for almost anything you do by finding where that group of people who are like you are and getting involved with them, whether it's an app or a website or anything like that.
Right.
And I'd say also, if you're not taking advantage of that, you're probably missing. If you're only using the main fire hydrants like Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever, I think you're missing out because there are enough niche sections of the internet and of the social world that you can really shine like a rock star if you find out what they are and offer help and offer advice and offer good stuff.
You mentioned most of them, but we're trying to also. Corey was saying before he needs some guidance, or I think we all need some guidance. Is the big S in the room is Snapchat.
So
I was giving Snapchat.
You don't,
guys all do
because
Snapchat?
you're not their demo. I was giving a talk on Saturday to 200 STEM kids in Connecticut, and those 200 STEM kids were the brightest kids in Connecticut, like science fair winners, talking about stuff that I have no idea what it is and how they, we took this embryo of an egg and we created a bridge. I'm like, I don't know what you're doing. But they're like the smartest kids in Connecticut, and they're juniors and seniors and sophomores in high school, and they're going to be entering college, and they're the next generation. And they don't use Twitter. Less than 2% of the room, when I asked them to raise their hands, said they don't Twitter. They're on Instagram and they're on Snapchat, because Snapchat is bite-sized content, filtered the way they want it based on what they're doing it for. They're all trying to get into the hot in their city, hot in their demographic, whatever it is. And Snapchat, as much as we used to laugh at them, has built a surprisingly strong and powerful audience and fan base. I think, we mocked them when they didn't take whatever that offer was from Facebook or whoever wanted to do it. We made, God, my glasses are so, we made fun of them. And now, they're probably worth a lot more. It's pretty impressive. I mean, the White House has a Snapchat presence. It's crazy.
Yeah, like White House, Washington Post, New York Times, ESPN. I heard baseball teams are going to use it this year. And it just.
What did they do on it?
It just snapped. It just.
Short little bursts of content that allow people to get their message across, and for the ADD kids, for the kids who grew up with the iPhone, 10-second bursts of content are what they know. We used to watch 60 Minutes and watch all 60 minutes of it. These kids they're watching 10-second bursts of content, and that's what they're getting the news. That's why BuzzFeed didn't become famous for their staunch reporting. BuzzFeed became widely popular because everything was a list, and you could read 5 things off a list and felt smarter.
So think back a few years ago when people were saying, oh, this Twitter thing, it's just people talking about stuff. It's not going anywhere. They'll never monetize that. They'll never sell stock, right? Turn on TV, pick up a magazine, look at a newspaper, find some place where Twitter isn't right there on the website and everything. And when was the last time a technology permeated that quickly?
Except, here's the problem. they have no growth. They can't figure out ways to get new users, and they're losing the core users that they do have. You know, the teens and the tweens and the youngs, the ones who are going to fund the next 30 years of the economy, are not there, and they're taking a massive hit in their stock and in their perception because they can't figure out how to monetize it. They can't figure out how to turn it into what it's supposed to be, what that vision that people like us back in 07 and 08 when we were on, and everyone thought, what's that tweeter thing? What? We had this image of this brilliant thing that it was going to revolutionize, and it's done a lot. Look, the Arab Spring would not have happened without Twitter. Let's call that. You know, I found out Michael Jackson's death. Twitter showed CNN, you know, hey guys, you can't wait to verify 6 hours later. You know, if TMZ can do it and post it on Twitter, you got it. So Twitter did change the world. There's no doubt about that. But they can't. AOL changed the world. Yeah. I was there. I was working there when they did it. Where's that now?
Right. Well, and that's a good point. I mean, so I was talking more. So the brands are getting value out of it. You know, so brands using it and getting value on it is different than them Twitter sticking around because it's monetized. That's two different conversations.
Techie Talk said something interesting. He said Twitter failed when I'm sorry, Bob. He said Twitter failed when it blocked third-party sites like hashtag follower tracking and never deployed solutions on their own to replace. He's right. You know, the beauty of Twitter is that it was really one of the first open APIs that everyone could build for. And if you remember the tweet photo and TwitPic and all that stuff, and Twitter just one by one went in and shot them all in the head. We don't want you. We don't want you. We don't want you. And they never actually found a way to replace that with their own stuff. Had they, it would be an entirely different ballgame right now.
Yeah, didn't they buy TwitPic and then they shut it down?
And then shut it down.
Yeah. And then they Emma, tiny URL that we're going to try to, and then it didn't go anywhere.
I'm going to put Emma on the spot here. Emma, can you tell us what you do, and then how do you do what you do in social?
Well, I mean, I work for a wine and spirits, food, hospitality PR firm, and a lot of what happens, it happens globally for us. So like social, whether it be email, whether it be Twitter, whether it be Instagram, is kind of how we all keep in touch with each other. And I mean, a lot of times I use Twitter to find coverage that no one has told us about. The reporter has posted it on her Twitter account, and I find out via the Twitter account, and I can get that to my clients that way. And so it's a really interesting kind of way to use it to, you know, find the coverage where you would normally be getting it by paying Precision or paying for Burrell's Loose or, you know, Muck Rack or some of the others. And that's been the most interesting thing that I've figured out using social, more so than, you know, writing the tweets or posting the Instagram pictures. And even our clients, they don't really want me to do the Instagram for them, even though they're taking terrible pictures and posting things that you can't see. You don't know what's going on. They don't understand the hashtags and that sort of thing. But, you know, they don't want me to do it. They want to do it themselves. And the way that I use social for my clients is to find their coverage and to promote that for them.
All right, guys, I unfortunately have to jump off. I hear my daughter calling again. So I'm going to say thank you and bye and open up the seat for someone more intelligent than me. But I appreciate you guys letting me drop into my own lab. That's pretty cool. And for those who are watching and who are wondering what we all have in common here, who are not in ShankMinds, we are all part of a mastermind called ShankMinds.com, which is about a little over 100 people who are sharing incredible brain trusts and brilliance. It's at ShankMinds.com, and we would love to have you if you fit the profile we're looking for. So thank you guys and enjoy. And Craig, awesome. Emma, awesome. See you guys tomorrow.
Thank you.
Bye.
See ya. I was gonna see. I'm gonna see if I can get Christina to join.
Where'd Bob go? Anyway,
I think he jumped off. What about your brands with the wine brands? Are you allowed to do Pinterest?
Yeah. Yeah, we've done that with one of our rosé brands, Chateau Saint Marc, and it's a lot of like pairings and recipes, and that's kind of where we get our followers and where the content is most viewed and most pinned and that kind of thing. It's rosé goes well with oysters, rosé goes well with that, rosé goes well with roasted fish, and that's kind of where it comes from. And it's interesting because the same way that they have us use Pinterest as the way that I use it personally. I use it as just kind of curated recipe books.
Hi, Lisa. How are you?
Me.
Good. How are you doing?
Good.
Are you guys both part of ShankMinds?
Yes, we are.
Hi. I just wanted to jump on and say hi and meet everyone. And I've just been following the conversation about how you use it personally, how you use social media personally. And I really like to be vulnerable with my, with both, well, I don't really use Twitter much anymore, but with my Facebook, I actually use it kind of like an extension of my journal. And I like to share personal things with people. But I really limit the amount of people I allow on my Facebook kind of as a result. Like if someone, like it's like, do you deserve to know what's going on in my life kind of thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. You see, I'm pretty public with my Facebook. I mean, because I have nothing to hide, but there are a lot of things I don't share. You know, I mean, kind of like what Peter was saying. There are some things I don't share that are too personal to me. But I'm pretty public. I always set my status updates to public because I have nothing to hide. And sometimes I get tagged in crazy stuff, and I can just remove myself from the tag. Twitter, it's the same thing. If you post to both social networks at the same time, you're really blasting yourself out there. So what's the point? You know, it's they're both public forums, and you can say whatever you want. So for me, I'm pretty public with things I say, but I try not to go out of talk politics, talk medicine, talk things that might start a heated debate. You know, the pictures of my family, or my dog who's sleeping right about now, or just normal stuff that's going on in my life that happens in other people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm kind of the opposite. I'm very private with everything I post. I'm very selective. And I think, and Bob, I know that I live in New York, and it's very face-to-face kind of city, and it's definitely changed the way that I post. I mean, before, when I was living in Ohio, when I was going to college there, I was more separated from the people that I know and love, and it was kind of a way for me to get that information out to them and to share. And now it's like, when you live within blocks of someone, you text, and I don't put a lot on Facebook or on Instagram or anything like that. It's interesting, the change.
And what about anyone else?
Twitter to me seems really public. I fell in love with Twitter when I first discovered it back in 2009. And I liked how public it felt, and just the spreading of information is quicker, and I just like the fact that it's very concise. But I also like the personal kind of slower feel of Facebook. And I used to I do block people when they piss me off, and or I just feel like,
as you should. That's all right.
And forgot what I was going to say. This is the first time I'm on Blab, so I feel kind of nervous.
You do.
Bob is asking, what's the sign behind you?
It is Bordeaux. All the different areas, AOCs of Bordeaux on a canvas.
Very nice.
One of the oldest regions, one of the most well-known wine regions. Very famous. It's the whole. If you've ever read The Billionaire's Vinegar, and Will Smith bought the rights to the movie, I can't wait for it to come out. It's about a counterfeit bottle of Bordeaux that was said to have been owned by Thomas Jefferson, and turned out not actually being real Bordeaux. It was vinegar, but yeah. All different Burgundies in the shape of a wine bottle, the different areas.
Wasn't that on CNBC? There was a vintage wine episode. Is that what it was?
Mm-hmm.
Rudy Currentnow?
Yep. No, Rudy Kurnawan, he's a whole different story. Rudy, he took bottles that were expensive and semi-rare, but there were more than 6, but less than 12, and he counterfeited them. He would drink the actual wine, and then take a wine that's from the same region, still very old, but kind of not as well known. And he would put them in the bottles, and he would sell them at auction, and he would sell them to restaurants, and people were buying them and loving them. And the way that he got caught is like this incredible story. It's the son of the owner of one of the vineyards that he was counterfeiting, knew he was counterfeiting, and went to the auction where he was selling these bottles and stood up during that sale and said, "Hey, I know there's only 4 bottles of this left in the world, and you're selling 6 of them right
That was a good story.
And that's how he got caught.
We actually have a question for you. I have to ask, what's your best wine suggestion for Valentine's Day?
Oh, I missed that. Gosh. I'm not Brichetto. Brichetto works. It's an Italian red sparkling. It can be dry. It can be sweet. I really like those. Otherwise, rosé is a year-round thing now. A good dry Provence rosé goes with anything. It goes with the typical aphrodisiacs like the oysters and all of that kind of thing.
Hi,
So I would go with those. If you're looking for a red, though, Gamay is huge right now. It comes from Beaujolais, from the bottom of Burgundy. And I know Beaujolais is known as something super cheap and tastes like bubblegum, but they're making Cru Beaujolais these days, and it's really incredible. And you can get it for a good deal.
That's okay. And basically, most wine stores carry that?
Gamay? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And you can even go in and ask for a Beaujolais, and they can point you to something that's, not carbonically macerated and tastes like bubblegum. They can give you like a Cru Beaujolais, and you can get that for
bubblegum. Have anything?
$25, $30. You need something that tastes like bubblegum?
No, I'm saying that's what you can go and take to the wine store.
Oh, yeah, like the Beaujolais Nouveau. It definitely tastes.
I want to get Irina involved. Hi, Irina.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, Irina.
Hi.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
So Miss Photographer, how do you use social?
How do I social? I just put everything out there, I guess. No, I don't go too personal, no. But most of my posts are public. My Instagram is linked to my Twitter and Facebook. I have 3 Instagrams accounts. That isn't working out very well, but one is for fitness, one is photography professionally, strictly, and another one is for silly stuff, like everything, just going around taking snaps with my iPhone. All of that pretty much goes out on Twitter. Sorry for spamming. And Facebook is just for, basically people who I know and have met. They can follow me or unfollow, I guess. It's up to them. I just post everything out there. I don't spend much time on social media, though, unfortunately.
Do you think if you spent more time, you would be able to increase what people see for your photography?
If I were to do it right, I guess I would invest in some application that would recycle the posts, something that's been popular, like Edgar or what else is out there. I blog, or I like to think that I do, and some of the posts were very helpful to people. I received good comments, and it would be nice to every once in a while recycle them. That's what I would have improved right now if I had the time to do that.
What Corey was saying earlier was tweet jukebox, and you could Tweet Jukebox, and you could just start feeding. You could create posts, or you could feed posts that you've had into that, and you could just recycle it whenever you want. And that could recycle current pictures or pictures you've taken, hashtags. Or there's also a lot of people use Hootsuite.
Hootsuite, yes, I use Hootsuite.
I think my personal opinion is I still like TweetDeck, but kind of went away for a while. It hasn't.
I like TweetDeck.
You know what? TweetDeck has changed over the years. When I first used it, I would say 4 or 5 years ago. Before it was bought by Twitter, it was so much better. Yeah.
Really?
Back in 2009. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's fine. When Twitter bought TweetDeck, it went. I think it went. The platform got horrible.
When did they buy it?
Probably 2-3 years ago.
Oh, really? I used to use it way before that. I liked it a lot. I like the way it organizes. You have a lot of control of what you want to see, and I don't know what is the difference.
I know they took out Facebook. They took out Facebook streams.
Oh, really?
They took a lot of stuff out. Yeah. But now I know Amy was just saying Sprout Social is the management choice for her. But Tweet Jukebox, if that works for Corey, really, basically, it all depends on what works for you. Tweetbot used to work for me, and then I went away from it. And then Hootsuite, that's really if you really want to. Oh, and Bob was saying Buffer. Hootsuite is, I think you have to start paying for it after you go over a certain amount of users. The Tweet Jukebox is probably just if you just use Twitter, that'd probably be perfect for you. And Sprout Social, and then Buffer. Does anyone else use Buffer?
No. What is it?
No.
Same thing. It's really basically the way all your integrations into one.
Oh, okay.
But it was recently bought out. All these companies are being bought out by bigger companies. Basically now it's more of like a CRM tool. Workers graphic grading content queues for content. Well, is he free and they have less than 5 accounts? Thank you, Amy. Social. Does anyone else? I can't drop out.
I'll drop out. I just wanted to say hi to everybody, and I hope you guys have a good night.
Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah.
Does anyone else want to join in Chat Social? Yeah, I mean, for me, me personally though, using Buffer, TweetDeck, Hootsuite, and I'm just not a fan of scheduling tweets. That's just me. You know, if you're tweeting at 4 a.m., I'm sleeping at 4 a.m. Mm-hmm. Why am I tweeting? And then, you know, I've had instances when I first used to use it because I have friends that all over the world, people in Israel, Australia, that are replying to me at 4 a.m. thinking I'm up when I'm not, and then my phone's going off at 4 or 5 a.m. My fault for not shutting it off, but thinking I'm up, tweeting at me and starting a conversation at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. So that's my problem with scheduling tweets. But a lot of people do it to get their content on there because of who their audience is and where their audience is. Emma, what do you think about scheduling tweets?
You know, we do it kind of strategically based on, like sort of holidays, or if we know something's dropping for our client or that sort of thing, then if we want that to go out at a specific time and to reach a certain time zone at a certain point when we know that a lot of people are like looking at our content. I know we did that a lot with Facebook when we were working with Lucid Absinthe, is because most everything was based either in California or in France. We tried to look at the analytics and see when the largest number of our followers would be looking at the page at any given time, and we would schedule things to go that way. You know, whether it was at 9 p.m. Eastern time, it's a little bit earlier. It's when people are checking their phone on their commute home in California, or if it's early in the morning here, it's the afternoon in France when people are checking and having coffee or what have you. So those are the times when I used to schedule.
Hi, Amy.
Hi. So I think you have to get a handle on what smart scheduling is all about. Social media exists on a spectrum, right? You have pure live engagement on one side and then pure automation on the other side. And for most people, they have to find a place inside that spectrum to do social media on a bigger scale rather than just, tweeting once a week kind of thing. For most of my clients, it just depends on who they are, where we put them on that spectrum of smart scheduled content, never automated content, but smart scheduled content and live engagement. And you have to find a happy place in that medium.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. You need to find where your audience is, and engage it.
Just because there are so few people who can be on social media 24 hours.
Right.
Like I got started in social media working for a lot of retailers, and people shop 24 hours a day. So we needed to have a live, active presence at different time zones, and people shopping when they get home at like 10 o'clock at night. So we had to come up with a way of scheduling, and we would notice different things too about the kind of content that would work at different hours. I worked for a children's brand years ago, and we found we would get crazy engagements after 9 o'clock. And if we took that same exact content and we posted it at 9 a.m. Rather than 9 p.m., crickets. Nobody would engage with that content. So when you're developing content plans, you really have to think about not only like, is this piece of content appropriate for my audience, but is it appropriate for that particular time for that particular audience?
That makes perfect sense.
And as my social media is like buzzing in the background.
What do you use?
To manage social media? It depends on what I'm attempting to do.
Okay.
I have a paid for account with Sprout Social.
Mm-hmm.
I was one of their beta testers, so I have a grandfathered account that's really like inexpensive and fantastic. But they're hands down one of the best platforms for analytics. So like if I'm drawing up reports for clients, I pull them all from Sprout Social just because the analytics are so great. So that's what I use to schedule content for my company and for my clients. But when I'm coaching people in social media or helping them develop their own presence, I generally recommend people start off with Buffer because it's just so easy to use. All you have to do is keep that queue full of content, and it will post out for you. And it's free if you have like less than 5 accounts, less than 5 profiles that you want to manage. Buffer's probably the best free tool out there.
Wow.
Hootsuite is fine. I stopped using Hootsuite a couple of years ago just because it doesn't intuitively work with how my brain works. Like the user interface just doesn't work for me as well as Hootsuite or Sprout Social does. So that's why I don't recommend it. But it's a perfectly fine tool. The other tool, like you guys have been talking about TweetDeck, and TweetDeck is invaluable if you're going to do any live work with Twitter.
Yeah.
Like if you're tracking hashtags for a conference or there's something live happening going on, TweetDeck is really hands down the best tool for that.
Yeah, I think TweetDeck kind of got worse once Twitter broke up.
So that depends on how you mean worse. As a dashboard to manage your entire social presence, yes.
Yeah.
As a finely honed tool for manipulating, for finding information on Twitter and following information on Twitter live, it's great.
Yeah, I think
but there are so few people. Like I do a lot of tweet chats, right? So when you have a conversation that's going and it becomes a trending topic, that means, there are over like 100 tweets a minute. You can't use native Twitter. It just doesn't update fast enough. You could use TweetGrid or something like that. I don't find the only thing I find that updates fast enough is TweetDeck. So TweetDeck for me is really a power tool. It's not something I use on a daily basis.
What I was saying with TweetDeck is the dashboard really is not what it used to.
Yeah, it changed, and you just kind of have to get used to the change.
Yeah, and like when they removed Facebook access, and then for me it was like okay, and then they went to the Bluebird. I'm like, okay, this is not. They took out a lot of stuff.
They did, and that was something like Peter mentioned. Like they started cutting off API access to a whole bunch of people, and then not replacing the tools.
Yeah, I think what Liz was Texi Talk was mentioning. That's why kind of like Twitter is failing right now because they took out all the third-party API connections.
I don't know if I would say Twitter's failing, but there definitely is a lack of innovation in what Twitter's doing right now with what it owns. So I don't think I would say Twitter is failing. Twitter will be around for a little while.
Yeah, I think. What happened? The stock dropped like 25%, like 20-something% already today, because
that's what happens when you axe all of your executive staff.
Right, and there was no growth this year, so.
Because Twitter hasn't found the way to monetize the same way that Facebook has. Facebook is really Facebook owns your data and is such an elegant tool for market research. Twitter hasn't been able to replicate that. So once Twitter finds out figures out exactly how to make money, it'll be fine. And it'll survive. I mean, I think the first social media channel to go out of the big five will be LinkedIn.
Yeah, I think my problem with LinkedIn is the spamming.
Right. That's why it'll be the first to go. It's becoming increasingly irrelevant. Yeah, I know it's a bold prediction, but if you look at Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, and Instagram's owned by Facebook. So it's not going anywhere. It's only going to get more and more developed. Twitter's not going anywhere because the news media relies on it far too much. LinkedIn, if LinkedIn really can't get people to use it more than once a year, LinkedIn's going to have a really sad future.
Yeah, it's Facebook. It was funny what someone just said. I actually think Yahoo is going to buy Twitter.
Oh, I don't think
someone's going to buy Twitter, and it's not going to be Facebook. They have too much on their plate. Bob, I don't.
Oh, sorry.
Bob,
I was muted. So someone had said that in the group last week. I just wanted to respond to Amy's thing about LinkedIn. Last week we talked about branding and brand positions and stuff. And one of the things is there's this push where everybody, when I say everybody, a lot of companies are trying to be everything to all people. And we know that just as entrepreneurs, that's not a good thing, right? There's a food chain called Le Peeps. I'm just curious, if people in the chat, if you've heard of Le Peeps. It's nationwide. It's not in every state, but they are just breakfast. They open up at 6 o'clock in the morning and they close at 1. And there's one in the Kansas City area. They're in a plaza where there's an Applebee's. They have the demographics where if they move to dinner, they could be selling too, but they're sticking to their core competencies and they're doing fine. I think that if LinkedIn, I don't necessarily agree with Amy that's going to go away. I think that LinkedIn's going to adjust. I think it's going to roll back to being more of a professional network only. They have lynda.com with all the online courses and all that. So I think, I think we might see an adjustment where services go back to being their core competencies and not trying to be the other Facebook or the other Twitter.
Oh, sure. I agree with that. And my comment was, if one of the big five were to go, LinkedIn would be the first one to go, in my opinion. The problem with LinkedIn is that the average everyday Joe can't figure out how to use it beyond posting their resume once a year and updating it. I think that's one of the hard things about LinkedIn. That's the reason I don't use LinkedIn as much, is because it's just not fun to use. And it doesn't, it's just not fun to use. Once they can figure out how to get people on LinkedIn and engaged there so that they're spending more and more time inside LinkedIn, they'll be fine. But I agree, like the best social network I have ever come across in my entire 10-year career or 20-year career dealing with marketing and digital media is a website for knitters. It's called Ravelry. It was designed by knitters for knitters. They organically reached the, I don't know, like 2 million user mark. People are on that site every single day. It is the single best resource for anybody who knits, crochets, spins, makes yarn, weaves, and they have sustained themselves with independent advertising. They don't have a lot of like Michaels or Martha Stewart coming in and advertising on their site. It's all small, independent yarn professionals who power the sites. They've been running it in the black since their second year of operation. And they cater exactly to the knitting community for exactly what you want. It's like literally exactly what you would want as a digital tool if you knit. It's the most brilliant social media platform out there.
It's funny you mentioned that.
In the niche
I
market.
just bought my wife a pattern from Revelry just a couple of weeks ago, and I'm going to mute myself and see if she'll bring what she's making in here. So,
what's up, Lyle?
How's it going, everybody?
Good, how are you?
All right.
And yeah, there's a comment by OzExcel that is talking about clout, that clout can't measure influence on our knitters forum. Yes, that's 100% true. That's why clout is pretty meaningless. I mean, clout has been like really struggling to figure out how to measure influence, and a lot of people, myself included, contend that clout doesn't actually measure influence. I think clout is already dying a slow and painful death. I think like once their whole perk system failed to take off. Oh, look how pretty that is! That's fantastic.
They look nice and toasty.
That's awesome.
It won't even fit in the whole screen.
Knee socks.
But
if somebody knits you knee socks, they really love you because that's a lot of knitting.
Anne is, you know how everybody's getting on me for giving stuff away? So one of our former neighbors, his fiance saw this pattern and was interested in it. And Anne said she could make it. And he said, would you really do that? So she spent $35 for the yarn. This one here, this is the one that she took her 10 days to make this one because she had to rip it out like 3 times, 4 or 5 inches at a time because the pattern was horrible. And like I said, $35 for the yarn, and she's doing the entire pair for him for $50. You can't.
That's awesome.
You know, that's like 10 cents an hour maybe. But no, I mean,
yeah.
But he's done a lot of great things for us. But yeah, they're knee socks. So anyway, it's just funny. I mean, awesome. I bought it at Revelry, so the fact that you said that.
Yeah, it's the best. It's really hands down. Like if you want to study how to create a product for a niche market, looking at Ravelry and what they've accomplished is just phenomenal. I mean, it was started by a couple who one night the husband, or I don't think they were married at the time, is a developer, and his wife said to him, like lying in bed, wouldn't it be great if this kind of website existed? And they went out and built it. It's pretty fantastic.
I want to actually get Lyle into the conversation. So Lyle, what do you think about social and what's going on with the platforms today?
I think there's a tremendous amount of them. So it's how do you pick which one works best for you? So, you know, Facebook might be great for some people. It's not great for others. I think everybody tries to jump in on everything. You know, like Snapchat, for example. Like everybody's jumping on Snapchat. You know, join up. You know, let's, get in, follow me. And I tried it. It's not for me. I'm not going to really, just jump in on it because everybody else is, or Gary Vaynerchuk is saying, you must be on Snapchat. I get also influencers. I think, while they're great to learn from, they can be a little bit dangerous because sometimes they push you into something that's not really, meant for you, or, they're trying to get you to follow them. Again, it's just really, finding what's your comfort zone, which is something I'm, working on now for myself. It's what social platforms are good for me. Where am I comfortable to develop an audience or to, join in on a community and be part of that community?
Yeah, I think I think Facebook works the best.
Yeah, and I love Facebook groups. I think more and more as I get involved with it and creating, these little niche groups. I see the power of it, because it's a real platform that could be used for multiple things. Now that you could, upload files and, add PDFs and, put up videos, it could really become like an education platform as well. It could be, multiple things and not just, locally, Craig and I are from the same area, and people are posting things to sell on there now. It really is an amazing, place to be, and it, continues to grow and continues to develop forward.
Facebook is a force to be reckoned with in the social media world, and the choice not to be on Facebook is a completely valid choice. I think as a business owner and as an entrepreneur, you do miss some opportunities if you don't learn how to manipulate Facebook in a meaningful way. But again, like Lyle, to get back to your how you started your comment off, is you have to find a social media channel that really works for you. Like, some people are just awful at taking pictures. Therefore, Instagram is not for you, right? Some people can't handle the 140 characters on Twitter. I happen to be fantastic in 140 characters. It's really where I got my start in social media as a wellness writer. People just can't express themselves in that 140 characters and can't get the swing of how Twitter works. The same thing with Blab and Periscope. Some people just don't thrive on video. So you have to find the social media channel that really works for you. And you have to enjoy using the channel yourself before you develop a strategy there.
Yeah, and I think there's, business-wise versus personal. Personally, I'll use Instagram. Business-wise, not really. I like to put up family pictures, with my son, and keep it as something to archive our lives. Because I could do a quick video, I could do a quick, photo. But for business, I haven't really taken it for it. Same thing with, Twitter. I'll do tweet outs, things like that. But again, even Blab I think Blab is great. I think it's very powerful. I noticed that a lot of young people aren't hopping onto Blab. It's not something I see a lot of younger people, and I think that's because we're used to it. Somebody I feel like an echo.
Hey, Oz, did you get an echo?
Okay.
Want to try and rejoin?
Yeah, maybe grab some headphones or something.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to kick him real quick. And
we're good now?
We'll let you back in.
Okay.
What do you think of the question that Texty Talk posted?
What was that? Let me see
I can read it back. At the bottom.
I don't see the question.
I'm doing a presentation tomorrow on the top 5 new social apps.
There we go.
You should try Periscope, Meerkat, Snapchat, Blab, Slack, and what am I missing? I think you probably replace Slack, because that's really not a social site. I was probably go Periscope, Meerkat, Snapchat, Blab, and maybe Peach.
But I think I think it's interesting that people are really hacking it now to be a social site.
Yeah.
And a community building site. So I think keep it in, because I think it's interesting how people just taking that and hacking it.
Right.
And something that, and it might be that Slack will hopefully really notice that and say, wow, we have something really special here, and we can really transform it into this platform versus something that we started out as this.
Yeah.
Hey, Lyle. What do you do, Lyle?
I'm a web developer, and then I'm also an educator.
All right. So I'm a former educator, too. I shouldn't say former. I'm a lifelong educator. I'm just not currently employed as one right now. I think everybody. So on Texty Talk's question, and I'm not sure Texty Talk's first name, so I just say Texty Talk. So, if I was going to say right now, hey, I'm going to go this weekend, and my wife and I are going to buy a car. What should I get? All right. Well, we shouldn't even say going to buy a car, right? We should say buy a vehicle, because maybe I need a truck or maybe I need a minivan. So my point I'm going to say for Texty Talk is, Now, it's just me saying this, right? Anybody that tries to answer that question for you without first identifying the target audience and who you're talking to doesn't know what they're talking about. I'm being a little bit bold there, but what I'm saying is it really, really depends. Who are you talking to, and what do they do? Are they people, individual people? Are they educators? Are they biz to business or business to consumer? I mean, it really makes a big difference. Now, there's ones that are leading, but I just want to make that point that it's just like we have to niche down ourselves as entrepreneurs. You really, to answer a question like that, you got to know what their needs are and who they're talking to.
Yeah, I mean, there were Secrets. I think we kind of talked about Secrets real quick. Secrets was an app for 3 weeks. It was, I mean, I fell in love with it. It was funny because it was cool. It was funny. It was basically stealing people's Twitter cards as like baseball cards, and you were trading. I stole Gary Vaynerchuk. I stole Peter Shankman. I stole all these companies that I follow, and it was like basically trading baseball cards with other people. And then someone stole a Republican governor in like some state, and the governor said, "What is this?" and said, "Get rid of it." And they basically shut down. They couldn't fight because they can't monetize. A new social app can't monetize overnight. But Peach is cool. But I mean, Vine was out there for a split second.
Yeah, and again, something I put on the board before was, what's the lifespan of social media networks? And I'm not talking about like a Facebook, but I'm talking about something new that's popping up, and people are investing a lot of money, a lot of time into it. But we really can't say what social media is very young. People say not young. Some people say it is young, but my opinion, it's still very young yet. It's still maybe it's not an infant, but I consider it a toddler.
Mm-hmm.
And AOL was the hot thing, and now it's pretty much the same thing with Yahoo. We're really seeing the downfall of these things. Same thing, Tumblr. What was that valued at? $1 billion.
And it went away when Yahoo bought it.
Yeah, and Yahoo's in trouble now too.
I personally like Marissa Mayer. I thought she would have done awesome as a CEO, but I don't think she. I don't think she handled it well. Right. I don't think she handled it well. I don't know what she was getting herself into when she took over Yahoo. I think she would have been better staying at Google.
Yeah, and I think the way things grow, like Facebook is very good at seeing where their direction is going to be and where their growth is going to be. Same thing with Google. They're not just a search engine anymore. They're going into cars and different technologies. And it's sort of, if you think about, I'm a big hip hop fan. If you think about hip hop, Jay-Z, he didn't just stay in his lane of being, a rapper. He went over to become a business person in multiple arenas, and that's how he's staying relevant.
Kind of like, P. Diddy.
Same thing.
So here's the thing: like, social media is not a new concept. Social media has actually been around as long as human beings have been around, right? Like, we have this desire to communicate socially, and it's just technology that grows up and changes and becomes different. And social media platforms will come and go. Like the last ShankMinds chat we were on, I think it was last week, Peter said that you don't own your real estate when you're on Facebook. You have to get people to a place that you personally own, because Facebook could go under, right? What are we all going to do if your entire business just solely exists on Facebook and they decide to fold? Not that Facebook is going to go away. I see Facebook having about 10 more years. Probably 10 more years before we start having this conversation about when is Facebook going to die. Just like cloud had its time, but the problem is that you have to innovate and keep up and satisfy your core users. The second Facebook stops grandmas from going there to see their pictures of their grandkids, and Facebook becomes unpleasant to use, that's when Facebook is going to die, regardless of how much money they make on on advertising. If there's no one to advertise to, it's not relevant.
It's also, if they stop innovating, if you look at companies, like Polaroid was a huge technology company, but they only stuck with one technology, and as if you're not willing to innovate and move forward, you're just going to die out.
Sure. I think you have to stay ahead of the bell curve and not play catch up with it and innovate. I mean, you can make that same freaking argument about Apple. What is Apple without the iPhone? Right? If they don't come up with something that, like 60% of what Apple makes is based on the iPhone. If they don't innovate and start coming up with other new products that are inside that keeps their brand integrity in place, Apple will become as irrelevant as clout is.
Yeah, I mean, look at Microsoft. Microsoft, still having a hard time.
Yes and no, but Microsoft is so entrenched in the business world that it's not going anywhere.
No, I don't think it's going anywhere, but they're having a difficult time, I think, keeping up.
Sure, except the new Surface Book that they just released is spectacular. That's the next computer I'm actually going to buy, and I'm shocked that I would move away from Dell. Microsoft piece of hardware from Microsoft.
Yeah, I mean they're still so entrenched in the business world. Everything is Microsoft. But what Oz was saying, marketing, they can't market. My friend has their band. I forget what it's called, Microsoft, whatever, their fitness band, and it's amazing. You can't even I wouldn't. If I wasn't an Apple fan, I would have the Microsoft band. But I'm an Apple guy, so I mean I'm gonna buy the Apple Watch. That's just how I am. The Microsoft is so engulfed with, especially with their Exchange servers and all their cloud services, that they haven't nailed down pat with
that. So Lindsay is talking about the frustration of building a presence and an audience on all these new social platforms that pop up. And I totally agree. And I think you have to make the choice of whether or not it's worth your time and energy and I don't know, your time, your energy, your money, your life force to invest in a new platform. And things are going to come along and they're going to catch on or not catch on. And it does get really frustrating. Like Path, when Path was released, I thought Path was beautiful. I was convinced it was going to be a Facebook killer. The interface was just so nice and so awesome. And I love the fact that you could only have 150 friends on it. Path was beautiful and it just didn't catch on, right? Like the reason I stopped using Path is because there was 15 people in the world that I knew who were on Path, and they were not people I was interested in, right? They were not people I was interested in sharing my stuff with.
Yeah.
Right. And regardless of how much I talked about how awesome Path was, none of my people wanted to join it, right? So Ello, do you guys remember when Ello was here and it left? Peach is the same right now too, right? I think that what we're going to start seeing is more super niched, really elegantly designed social media platforms. Just like I was talking about Ravelry for the knitting community, I think we're going to see more of that. So you'll have really well, elegantly designed social networking platforms for snowboarders and golfers. I think we're going to start niching down that way based on interests and experiences rather than these catch-all Facebook monolith type social media channels.
Yeah, and here's something else that's different. She mentioned building audiences and diminishing, returns. And the problem is once you think of, there's a difference between building an audience and building a community. So when you build an audience, those are just people watching you. Building a community is a big difference. And once you start, looking at it as I'm going to build my community online, you're going to see returns on that.
True. And Oz says here that super niche can be hard to maintain, and that creates dormant accounts. It can be hard to maintain. However, when you tap into people's passions, they sustain it without you. That's the community thing that Lyle was just talking about. If you can get a community to sustain your product, regardless of how small it could be, that's genius. Then I got my start I was working for a solder company, right? An interconnect company. They make the stuff that makes your computer stick together. And we created the first ever corporate blogging program in the electronics manufacturing world. And it was a hard sell. It was a hard sell to the VPs. It was a hard sell to the owner of the business. It was a hard sell to the engineers. But we spent like a year developing this blog and all this content. And to this day, those guys who run that blog, they're freaking rock stars. When they go to a conference, people ask for their autograph. So if you can really tap into a niche community and give them exactly what they want and what they need, which is not the same thing as what they want, niching down can be amazingly profitable. Sure. Sure. And I think it's that lack of community that makes some social media channels disappear. Like the people who love LinkedIn, it's because they found community there. Right? It's the people who don't love LinkedIn haven't found community there. You know, like one of the reasons I don't like LinkedIn is because I get tired of talking to, you know, social media professionals who think they're super geniuses. I could just have a conversation with myself if I wanted that, you know. I think that is really where both LinkedIn and Google Plus have work really well for the people they work well for, but don't work well for the greater community, for the greater social media world, because they can't find community there.
It's funny, like I'm on a sports app called FanCred. They're based out of Boston, and I don't use ESPN. I use FanCred. They have sports update. You know, they basically you're allowed to tag your teams when you go to games, Jets, Yankees, Rangers, who's playing who, Super Bowl tag. But they have live video streaming, so you could stream when you're at a game, play-by-play action, you know, and there's the 5-minute timer. And that's my app that I use. I hate ESPN. Since they did an app update a couple of years ago, I will not use ESPN. I use FanCred for everything, for my scores, for interactions. You know, you sign up, you select the teams that you're interested in, and then you connect with people that have the same interest as you are in those teams, and it's just a big chat social media app, and that's what works for me.
That's great, right? And you're probably excited to use it, and when you get a notification on it, it's like the best thing ever. If something of yours like takes off and goes viral and gets, you know, applauds or whatever it is, like it warms your heart, right? And that's the power of niche. That's the power of creating community inside a very small demographic. Like, and that's the problem of bigger platforms, is really finding that community. Like, a year or so ago, I was at a networking event chatting with this guy who was developing an iPhone app for golfers. And it's this really cool app. Like you stand at the tee with your iPhone and you like shoot it down the fairway, and it will give you recommendations on how to construct your shot, right? Like how to construct your swing, what the wind is doing, how far it is, what the lay of the land is, you know, it did all this cool shit. And he was personally excited about Instagram and we were in conversation about him hiring me to do his Instagram, and I said no. I walked away from it. Like, I'm not spending the time and effort to go after 2% of the audience, because 2% of, like, I did the research of Instagram users are in his demographic.
Yeah.
You know, which is iPhone users, because it was only an iPhone app. iPhone users who are into golf and were in like their 40s, right? And I'm not working for the 2%, you know?
Yeah, that's one thing I'm trying not to do, is run. I just a pet peeve of mine, just running people's social media accounts. If I don't know the brand, I won't do it. I run a pizzeria in Brooklyn. Fine, I know the family, I know the owners, I know what's on the menu. I know everything that's in my hand. I'm lucky enough that the partnership between them and I work out. They know that I know social. I don't want to say I know social, but I know how to use it. It went viral about 2 months ago because of a video that was on Lindsay Loves Pizza. It went viral on ABC News. It's brought them a lot of business, but I will. That's like one of the only social media accounts that I will run myself because I'm so ingrained with the business and with no monetary value. I don't make anything on it, and I'm happy that I don't.
Okay.
And that's just me. But if I can't, so if like FanCred wants to hire me as a social media manager, I'm not there, so I'm not in the office. Like if someone comes to me and says, "Oh, I want to hire you for my carpet cleaning business," I know nothing about carpet cleaning. I can go out and do the social media research for you, but I'm not in the office every day. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Maybe there's a new product, a new device. That's just me. That's how I feel with social.
So that can, this gets into the question of in-house versus outsourced social media management. And it's definitely a choice that you as a business owner have to make. And there are having someone in-house do it. The pitfalls of having someone in-house is that they know the business but not the technology, nor do they know the marketing side of it. And the pitfalls of outsourcing is exactly what you said. Someone's not in the office every day to really get the, to breathe what's going on inside the business. That's just a choice a business owner has to make in what they want to produce.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm moving more into training business owners on how to use social media rather than creating all their social media for them. I think this is my stance on social media, is that just like we learn to use the telephone and we learn to use email, you have to learn how to use social media. You have to. It's not that the paradigm is shifting. The paradigm has already shifted. Lindsay asked this question, buying fans or likes is obviously bad, but what about pouring money into ads to get more traction on social? So here's my little spiel about advertising. I don't think you should ever, ever, ever give Facebook money without a plan on how you're going to make money back from that. Like, boosting posts and creating ads to get more fans on Facebook is great, except what are you going to do with those fans? If you don't have a plan to get people from Facebook to a place where they can purchase from you, I don't love buying advertising. It works in certain instances, but I don't think, I don't agree for most people that advertising is right all the time. And it's an addiction. It is a hardcore addiction because like you have to have an understanding of how the Facebook algorithm works. And once you start feeding it money, the second you stop paying for it, all that work you did goes away. So you have to really be prepared to be creating like good native content that is organically sustaining, so that when you stop purchasing ads, everything that you've worked to create doesn't go away. So if you have a plan for what you're going to do with those fans, once you pay for them on Facebook, then go for it. Put money into Facebook. Start off with really small budgets, like $20, $50 at a shot, and see what happens with it. Test. And once you find something that works, yeah, if you're putting an ad out there and for every $200 you spend on Facebook, you make $600, keep spending that $200 because it's worth it then. But don't give Facebook money. Please don't give Facebook money unless you have a plan behind it. That little boost post button is so sexy and so easy to hit, but have a plan first.
Yeah, it was funny you said that. Like the place I was mentioning in Brooklyn, they went viral on ABC News. So if you go viral on ABC News and they do a coverage story on you, it's pretty big, especially in the New York area. So as soon as ABC linked, ABC put, aired it, and then they were able to share us the link, because how they do things, they share us the link after it aired. I took that link, I boosted that post. It went nuts, and we had people coming, like driving from Manhattan and South Jersey to come to the restaurant. I'm like, this is incredible. Like, you don't drive really from Manhattan to Brooklyn.
See, now that's really smart because you already had a piece of content that you knew was viable, right? So you posted that link up there. You already knew people were watching it, and you boosted it. You gave it more life, right? That is freaking smart. Anytime you see content that does really well on Facebook, that's the content you want to pay for. You don't pay for the crap content nobody's liking, right? No one's liking it for a reason. It's because it's not pushing people's buttons in the right way. So what you did was really took advantage of something, and you augmented it even better.
I want to talk something about media. That if people have a tendency to blame, like many of us probably know people who have gotten divorces or something, and their mom says, if Michelle hadn't connected up with Fred on Facebook, if not for that damn Facebook, they'd still be together, right?
No,
Am I coming through okay?
I think we might.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I'm actually. It's getting pretty late. We've gone almost 2 hours. Does anyone have any last questions before we get off?
Wait, Lindsay's got a follow-up question. Couldn't it also be that you don't have the right audience, that your content is being presented to an audience of random people instead of a more targeted audience that encompasses the right demographic? Yeah, like that's totally true. That's one of the beauties, that's the saving grace of Facebook advertising, is that you can file that down to show an ad to 5 people who for a fact to hit all of the demographics that you want to. And that's how you should be targeting your ads. Like, that's another reason why I don't love that little boost post feature, because while you can target, you can't laser target. And I got a thing about boost posts, but yeah, if you can do that, if you can precisely define your audience on Facebook to run advertising, sure, and it produces a result for you, go for it all day long, if it produces a result for you. I just watched so many small business owners hand Facebook, $100 at a time for nothing. They get nothing back from it.
So I know we had a lot of first-time Blab users in here tonight. One of the things is when you watch am I coming across all right now?
It's still choppy.
Okay. Save the comments. If you go up over the top of the chat and copy them all, because they won't be there on the replay. I'll put this in chat.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I tend to try and read the comments out when I can. And Bob, I saw your comment about scaling what it is that I do. That's the conversation I'm in right now, as a matter of fact. So I'm going to be creating some courses, and I'm in the process of writing a book on engagement. So that's what's next for me. But this was super cool. Are we doing this once a week?
Yeah, I'm not available next Wednesday, but we're going to try to.
Cool.
I have a special dinner next Wednesday, so maybe we'll move it to Thursday.
Awesome. I'm going to be doing my own blab too, so if you guys want to come on and talk, that would be awesome.
Cool.
But I'll put all that information on ShankMinds.
Thanks, Amy.
I'm gonna go drink my hard ginger ale because it's the most awesome thing I've found on this planet so far. And I'll talk to you later.
Thank you. Good night, everyone. Let me see, Bob. Let me try and copy it. I got it, Bob.